You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Cut the damn music! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Right here with you as I love to be every day. Over the airways of ESPN Radio. 250 plus markets across the United States of America. Plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Before I get into what I want to say and why so I abruptly cut my intro music, let me take a moment to step back and say, this Mother's Day, show your biggest fan just how much she means to you with 30 assorted tulips for only $30 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon and enter code Stephen A. Hurry. Offer ends today. Now that we've got that out the way, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Let me be very clear. I'm pretty ticked off. I am not having a good day. I got a lot of NBA playoff stuff to get into with Philly losing against Boston last night, with LeBron playing Toronto tonight, with Steph Curry returning in Golden State tonight. I got a whole bunch of NBA stuff to get to, and I will. And boy, am I going to get into my Yankees, too, because, damn it, I'm sick and tired of them losing to the Houston Astros. I mean, the Astros are just too damn good. They just find ways. I love Houston. I love H-Town, but damn it, I'm a native New Yorker, and it sickens me that the New York Yankees keep losing to the Houston Astros. It just sickens me. But that is not why I am upset right now. That is not why I cut my intro music. That is not why I am perturbed to no end. You know, when you're covering the NBA playoffs for as long as I have, you're allergic to ineptitude. You're allergic to teams that are just totally irrelevant. Teams that can't find their way out of a paper bag. Teams that can't figure out how to do something right. Matter of fact, even before they do something wrong, you're worried they'll do something wrong. And as a result, you get into panic mode. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, I'm approaching that. I'm approaching panic mode. I am. Because as Adrian Wojnarowski for ESPN reported, the New York Knicks have just completed their head coaching search. They met with Warriors assistant Mike Brown, and I think it's like 12 different candidates they've interviewed. They've interviewed the David Fizdales of the world, the Jerry Stackhouses of the world, to Mike Woodsons of the world, who deserved consideration because Mike Woodson should be a head coach in this league again. They've also interviewed Mike Budenholzer in Atlanta. And I don't understand why he talked to the Phoenix Suns. Now he talked to the Knicks, but he's the head coach in Atlanta. I don't know what's going on with him, but that's a different subject for a different day because who cares about the Atlanta Hawks? Who cares? Wait for them to be relevant, damn it. But they also interviewed Juwan Howard of the Miami Heat. The list keeps going on and on and on. To be clear, they interviewed Kenny Smith. They interviewed Celtics assistant Jay Larranaga. They interviewed San Antonio Spurs assistant James Borrego. And I mentioned everybody else, including former Cleveland Cavaliers coach David Blatt, who's been coaching in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to have to repeat myself. It annoys me. Matter of fact, it ticks me off in this town, New York City, which is where I'm at right now. It ticks me off because certain things are just too damn obvious. Don't make it complicated. I am sure that any single one of these candidates that you interview qualify for the job. I know Fizdale can coach. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing against David Blatt. I think that he can coach. David Blatt's not a bad coach. Jerry Stackhouse has tremendous promise. Mike Woodson won 54 games. Last time we won the division crown in New York City with the New York Knicks, Mike Woodson was the head coach. $11 candidates the New York Knicks have interviewed for the job. 11. And even though he has no head coaching experience, and I think he'd be better suited for an executive position rather than a coaching position, I was happy the New York Knicks interviewed Kenny Smith for TNT. I was very happy about that. But let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. When I sit up and raise holy hell in support of Mark Jackson as the head coach for the New York Knicks, the next head coach for the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about just coaching. I'm talking about a culture changer. I'm talking about, for once, seeing someone stand before the cameras in New York, knowing they're one of us, and having this belief in your soul that this person is the right man because he gets us. That's Mark Jackson. That's Mark Jackson. And why is that needed? Because James Dolan is the boss. Because Madison Square Garden and the business enterprise it is hovers over this franchise like a damn virus. I respect the hell out of Steve Mills. I'm glad he's back. Scott Perry's been my man for years. He knows basketball. He knows what the hell he's doing. I believe in those two. They are not the spokespeople that this city needs. I'm not saying replace them. I'm saying let them go in the dark and do their job. The person that should be in front of the lights and cameras speaking on behalf of the organization has to be somebody that we, A, care to listen to, and number two, believe. It ain't Dolan. You might believe Steve Mills, but you don't care to hear from him too much. Not when you're wondering who the coach is going to be and what your roster is going to look like. I firmly believe Steve Mills and Scott Perry will do the job. But not if they're distracted by having to be in front of the camera and convincing New Yorkers that yet another pathetic basketball season is on the horizon. Or having to convince them it's not. You need a culture change. Have you not been paying attention? Why do you think James Harden didn't mind that Kevin McHale left? Kevin McHale did a damn good job in Houston. But there's a reason that Daryl Morey is considered one of the great executives in the game today. And it ain't because of some damn analytics, which, by the way, has its purpose. I'm not totally against it. But it's because Daryl Morey has that sixth sense. He understands when a culture change needs to take place. And I can sit up there and be critical of the job that Mike D'Antoni did for a couple of years in New York City, even though he got it up to the players one day. What I will never deny is that you give Mike D'Antoni some offensive weapons. That man knows what to do with it. And more importantly, he knows how to fill seats while doing so because of the brand and style of basketball he implements. You understand what's going on in Houston, don't y'all? This man is coming for the Warriors. Do I believe they'll get him? Not with a healthy Steph Curry, but he is coming. When Klay Thompson goes against the New Orleans Pelicans and he talks about being a bit tired, that is the wrong thing to come out of your mouth when the Houston Rockets are potentially on the horizon, likely on the horizon, because them brothers are coming. Mike D'Antoni has everything to do with that. So does Daryl Morey, who hired him, who was the visionary that saw the change that needed to be made to complement and assuage the concerns of James Harden, who should be and will be the league MVP. Alvin Gentry, New Orleans. Boogie Cousins goes down. What does Gentry do? Man, I got one of the great players in the world. Anthony Davis is a superstar. Let me sit up there and speed the tempo up. Let me up this thing. Let me cater to his wishes, his desires, his needs. And now look at New Orleans. It takes a juggernaut like the Golden State Warriors to stifle them after they swept Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and the Portland Trail Blazers. Look at Boston. Look at what Danny Ainge has done. I got Doc Rivers, I'm winning a championship in 2008. I'm competing for championships for the next 3 years. With our starting lineup healthy, KG, Kendrick Perkins, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, we've never lost a playoff series. Danny Ainge says, you know what? Doc Rivers, you want out? Clippers, you willing to give us some compensation? Fine, take them. I got a replacement, a successor. His name is Brad Stevens. I used to call Brad Stevens probably the best young coach in basketball. I want to apologize right here on national radio. That was an insult to Brad Stevens. Take the word young out of it. This man is one of the great, great coaches in the game of basketball. Period. A Butler program to back-to-back national title game appearances? Comes to the NBA? Coaching his tail off? Oh, by the way, you get Gordon Hayward to come your old college player at Butler? You get him to leave Utah, come to Boston? He goes down 10 minutes into game 1 of the regular season. And you win 55 games anyway. And the last half, the last month of the season, pretty much, Kyrie Irving is out. You still win. And then you beat Milwaukee in a 7-game series with the Greek Freak. And then after that, you've got the Sixers to go up against, who had won 16 straight to end the regular season, who had won 20 or 21 of their last 21 games. And they come in the TD Bank Garden in Boston against you with the parquet floor and the Boston faithful. And guess what? You don't have Jaylen Brown. So now you don't have Gordon Hayward. You don't have Jaylen Brown. You don't have Kyrie Irving. And you run them out of the building. Because you said, let Joel Embiid get his 30. We gonna get all up in Ben Simmons' jockstrap. We gonna make sure he ends up having more turnovers than made field goals. And by the way, all them damn shooters the Sixers have, let's just make them put it on the floor. Turn them into 2-point scorers instead of 3-point scorers. Sixers look lost. Couldn't tell whether they were lost, indifferent, or just completely outplayed. Look at Toronto with Masai Ujiri and Dwayne Casey. DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, that two-headed monster didn't change, but wasn't good enough. So what do? They not only add Serge Ibaka last year like Masai did, still keeping Jonas Valanciunas, but they also got this tall kid Pirtle and this other dude Siakam. Length and athleticism and ruggedness. Best record in the Eastern Conference. And oh, by the way, they got some miniature dude named Fred VanVleet, who Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan point to and says, you put this brother on the court with us. He hits shots. It helps spreads the floor. It gives us more room to operate and do the damage we're capable of doing because they're aiming for LeBron. These are what teams are doing. Look at Utah. Yeah, they got blown out by Houston, but who can deny the job that Quinn Snyder has done? Along with their brass. Look at Donovan Mitchell. Wasn't he picked 13th or 14th overall? Wasn't that ahead of the Knicks? Wasn't that after the Knicks pick? At 8. Donovan Mitchell ends up in Utah because Phil Jackson, the 11-time champion, the Zen master, he knows so much about basketball. He gives you Frank Ntilikina, some dude out of France who made the back pages of a newspaper because he scored 15 points in a regular season game that was beyond meaningless because the Knicks season was already over. But Donovan Mitchell is dropping 38 in a closeout game 6 against Russell Westbrook and averaging 28 in the playoffs. Culture. It matters. It ain't just about X's and O's. It's about knowing what a franchise needs, how much a city is suffering, and how much the city needs in order to sit up there and come together and galvanize their team to propel them to new heights. It's happening in Utah. It's happening in New Orleans. It's happened in Houston. It's happened in Golden State. It's happened in Boston. It's happened in Philadelphia. Where the hell has New York been? Where? And knowing this reality, this disgraceful, disgusting reality, which is tantamount to a basketball crime, we gotta sit here and wonder whether the answer to all of this is David Blatt, Mike Budenholzer, Jay Larranaga, or Larringer, or whatever the hell his name is. Really? Y'all don't get it? New York Knicks, you don't get it? Don't act like you don't hear me! You don't get it! Some of the greatest fans in the world descend upon New York City if they're not already from here. It's the media capital of the world. One of the greatest cities ever known to man. The NBA league office is in New York City, overlooking St. Patrick's Cathedral, without question praying that someday, somehow, some way, a right decision is made. And my God, do they have company. We're all praying. Hell, they might even be praying in other cities for the Knicks' success. That's how moribund this franchise has been. It's pretty damn difficult to take. The right decision has to be made. Has to be made now. Enough with these damn interviews. Get the right man in here. Give New Yorkers the culture change that we need. Do what you need to do for a change. And by the way, to James Dolan, if you're listening, when you're out there talking about how everybody wanted you to hire Phil Jackson and then you did what the folks asked you to do, but then they wanted you to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. It's because we thought Phil Jackson, the 11-time champion, was going to actually come here and be more interested in running a basketball operation rather than stealing your money. How the hell were we supposed to know that? I don't know how much more of this I can take, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really don't know. I am not a proponent of Mark Jackson just because I think he can coach. I think all of those guys can coach. Every one of them. And I think all of them, from an X's and O's standpoint, would be ready for the challenge. But New York poses a different challenge. Since James Dolan has arrived. And in order to get him out of the way, where he just cuts the check and leaves basketball to folks who know basketball, you have to get somebody in here that galvanizes New York in a way that tells James Dolan subliminally, if not directly, fall the hell back. This is how this needs to be done. I'm only going to say that. It's the last time I'm going to say that. Steve Mills, Scott Perry, rest is on y'all. That was Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. By the way, spring has arrived. That means so has the Major League Baseball season. A crack of the bat, the smell of the grass. It's time to head to the stadium and experience all the action. What's the best way to get tickets to the ballpark? With Vivid Seats, that's how. Just download the free Vivid Seats app and easily find seats wherever your favorite team is playing. From front row to upper deck, Vivid Seats has options to fit your needs. After all, spring is here. So get on outside and treat yourself to tickets to your favorite team for your favorite team. Download the free Vivid Seats app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people!
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.